I have a confession to make. I hated Mixtape. But before you write me off and click off this video, that's not really what this video is about. It's more about the way that opinion, um, not even opinion, the way that people approach, I guess the way that people approach opinion and reviews and how that shakes out in the capital D discourse revolving around video games. I am sure it happens in other places as well, but video games are kind of my wheelhouse, so that's what we're talking about today. Uh, as far as Mixtape goes, I'm not going to like really go into my opinion on that too much because that's again, it's not really like the big crux of this. I will say that it was a game that I was super looking forward to ever since the first trailer reveal. I want to say that that was at the Game Awards a couple years back. Uh, the style is very much my thing. The setting is very much my thing. Uh, as a fan of the Life is Strange games and similar styles of games, I was all in. And then the reviews hit right before the game came out, and I was shocked because I was expecting it to come out to decent praise. Right? It seemed like the type of game that probably was going to be pretty good. And then with the nines and tens kind of across the board, I was like, oh, this is a capital T thing now. I did the capital thing twice in this video already. Sorry. Um, and that was very exciting for me because I was like, okay, cool. Like I was already super on board with getting this game. Uh, and I wanted to get it right at launch, if not around like soon after. But seeing those reviews, I was like, oh yeah, this is now absolutely a must play for me, right? Because this is potential game of the year territory that we're talking about. Uh, I played it all the way through. Hated a lot of it, but things have kind of broken out into weird things, right? So I do think it's still relatively universal praise. That's at least that's what I see. But now there's backlash where people are bagging on the game for really weird reasons. One of the bigger ones is that because it got such high scores, uh, irrespective of people's personal opinions on them. So I kind of wanted to tackle that in a couple different ways. One comes to kind of the nature of reviews, and I think what's been lost over the years as far as what a review is and what a review does. Uh, because at the end of the day, a review is just that reviewer's opinion, right? Uh, there's someone that I interact with online that goes on and on about the objective review, and I could not care less about your objective look at anything when it comes to art. Right? I want to know your personal subjective feelings on it. I want to know how the work made you feel. I want to know how you engaged with it. I don't really need to know about the nuts and bolts about, well, Mixtape is a single player adventure style narrative based game, blah blah blah, right? Like that's just the bullet points. I don't I want to know what about it was special to you. And I think that's really gotten lost a lot in the last like 10, 15 years of reviews. I think people have lost sight of that especially when you have like the bigger outlets where uh people will look at a score that comes from IGN. And I'm going to get into like IGN. I'm focusing on because they had like a they scored it as a 10. Um, and then they'll say like, you're saying that this is a better game than blah 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 that some other person reviewed. And at the end, and it's like, those are different people, and also the score is just the score, right? It comes down to what they're saying about the game. You have to take into context what what is actually being said about the game. One of my favorite things to do with video reviews when they hit is I like to go through the review, and this comes from like my experience with like writing reviews and stuff like that, like for different outlets and stuff like that. But also coming from a big like magazine guy back in the day, like EGM, Game Fan, Game Pro, that type of stuff. I like to listen to what the reviewer is saying and predict what the score is going to be based on the text. And not to brag, but I'm usually about, if not dead on, I'm like a point off. It's very rare that I'm off by much when it comes to predicting the score based on what's being said, because I kind of know how things are supposed to work and everything, and I pay attention to their reviewing rubrics and stuff like that. So that's a big part of, I think, what's going on. There's another part that I don't want to really get into, which is people like kind of tearing this game apart because they're like, oh, it's not even a game. It's like what, and I don't know why we're still having these discussions, because I think the last 10 years or more of video games have really shown just how uh like diverse video games can be, like what this medium has evolved into, that there's like this length and breadth of experiences that you can have under the form of the video game moniker, and that's a great place to be. uh and I see people like that who probably really dug like The Walking Dead by Telltale back in the day, and it's like, this to me is like probably more interactive than those games were, because there's more in this game than I was kind of expecting. I thought it was going to be a much more just kind of walk and talk type thing, and not much else to do. And I was pleasantly surprised with a lot of the uh game, like more gamey parts of it. Um, but kind of going, continuing off of like the review outlet type thing, uh is also this ongoing war against like the actual like big news outlets, like your IGNs, like your Games Spots. Like, I guess there's not that many left, honestly. Is Polygon still around? I think Polygon's still out there. Um, but the thing about those places is that more than your average YouTuber or your average, video game streamer or influencer or whatever you want to call them, they're going to have a certain level of uh guidelines and like standards for how reviews are conducted, right? There's even I don't think that the requirement anymore is that you must have like a journalism degree or something. And maybe that wasn't a requirement even back in the magazine days, but there were a lot of people that came from like the journalism side of things that were video game enthusiasts that then got into video games media and went that route. But there's still a certain standard in these outlets of how things are to be done, and how people are to conduct themselves. And it goes by editors, right? So it's not just this person has their review they have and they throw it up there with like no other eyes on it, right? There's people that have looked over it and have decided, just said like, hey, this score isn't matching your words very well, or maybe this part doesn't have much bearing on this or that, or what have you, right? um and that's worth noting. And I think the other thing worth noting is you got to take in consideration who actually is presenting the review. I will confess that uh I don't follow a lot of active games media people these days, because I was a big like EGM guy. So like, as those people kind of left the industry and moved into different aspects of it, like they've pretty much all gone into the development side of things, or the publishing side of things, or the producing side of things. Your Dan Shoes, your Shane Bettenhausen's, your James Milky's, right? As those voices left games criticism, I didn't really get people to replace those. I got really into podcasting, obviously, because I've been podcasting for 14 years. So that's where I get a lot of my video game like opinions from these days. And I'm a big fan of like the original Giant Bomb crew. So I've latched on to certain personalities, and there's kind of where I look to if I'm trying to decide, like, if I want to purchase something that maybe I wasn't thinking of purchasing before, right? So I know that, like, if Vinny Caravella or Alex Navarro from Nextlander are really into something, I should probably check it out because 9 times out of 10, I align with what those guys are into. Uh, if Jeff Gersman is really into something, it's about a 50-50 on if I'm going to be into it. It kind of depends on where he's coming from. Uh, the current Giant Bomb guys, I kind of don't align with any of them. I still appreciate their opinions. It's just that they're they're into the type of games that I'm not necessarily into as much. So, like, I take a lot of their critiques on the stuff that I'm into with like a huge grain of salt. Because I'm like, okay, they're complaining about stuff that doesn't matter to me. But it's worth it to do a little bit of digging to see, like, what else did this person review? Like, did you agree with their other reviews, right? Did you not agree with them? Because if you didn't agree with them, then it's something where you can kind of disregard it moving forward if you see them come up. There's a certain reviewer at IGN where as soon as I hear his voice, I just click off the review because I'm like, I don't care about anything you have to say. I'm not going to name names, but I just they don't do anything for me, and I don't really care for their review style, so I don't pay attention to them. I will say the reviewer that reviewed Mixtape for IGN, I've never seen before, not familiar with them. I watched their review, and I definitely can see where they were coming from for Mixtape as far as being a total mark for this type of um, wistful looking back of a time period that in the reviewer's own words, was not present for, because not only were they not alive at the time, but they also live in the UK, so very different circumstances there. I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I did take a lot of issue with them really extolling like a lot of or heaping a lot of praise on the writing and the dialogue of Mixtape, because there I think it's just bad. I think the characters are badly written, and I think the dialogue is kind of awful. But again, that's my opinion. Uh, the IGN reviewer is completely entitled to their opinion. I don't agree. Maybe you don't agree with them either. Maybe you do. Maybe you played Mixtape and you love it. That's awesome. And there's places for both of those opinions, and varying opinions within there's opinion there's room rather for someone who's just like, yeah, it was all right. I played it. Didn't have a terrible time with it, but probably not going to ever think about it again. That's a completely valid response as well to anything. And I think things get really lost in the weeds. I mean, and I'm kind of trying to not even meant really deal with like the type of people who are coming at it from, oh, this is some like woke DEI bullshit or whatever, because like if anything, I thought that the game was a little bit, actually a lot lacking in diversity and like inclusivity. Like it definitely felt like the type of movies that I would watch from the 90s, where those movies not historically known for their diversity or the way that they handle certain groups of people. So, if anything, I thought it was a chance to show a more accurate depiction of what things were like back then. But these developers didn't go for that, which that's fine. Um, but no, I was more coming at it from the people who were just like either a like tearing apart this game simply because it got such high reviews, or the people that are tearing the game apart itself because they just feel that it's not game enough or whatnot, or think it's not deserving because it's not a big like triple A masterpiece or something like that. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's like you kind of just need to look at where the source of the opinion is coming from. Remember that it's an opinion, and then decide if that opinion matches with yours or not. If it doesn't, that's fine. You don't need to beat them up over it. If it does, cool. Like you might have found somebody to pay attention to later on down the line. I think it's also worth paying attention to people who maybe you don't align with all the time. Now, if it's someone that you never align with, then yeah, I mean, there's not much point in sticking with that because like I don't really know what you're getting out of that unless you're just like, oh, I kind of want to hate watch this just to see what this person had to say about this thing that I love. It's like I don't know why you'd really want to do that. But that's kind of just where I'm coming at this one from. It's a weird situation. It's a weird amount of discourse for what I expected to be like a really fun little game that kind of flew under the radar and landed on one or two people's game of the year lists and not much else. Now we'll have to wait and see what it ends up being by the end of the year as far as like different outlets, like if this becomes memorable enough to really like land on a lot of people's lists. I mean, with those scores, I would imagine it would, especially with like a lot of the opinion that I've seen. uh but look, like at the end of the day, I'm a guy whose game of the year of 2025 was Bloodlines 2, and who played all the way through Expedition 33, and that didn't even make my honorable mentions list, let alone my top 10 for the year. So again, it's all opinions. It's all kind of what resonates with you. Uh and that's fine. But those are my thoughts. They're not your thoughts, because if they were your thoughts, then you'd be me and I'd be you, or something. I'll see you next time. Bye.